Welcome to season 6 of the Runners Roundtable, the Beyond Pace season, where I get to once again talk to some pretty incredible females in the running space, our coaches, our dietitians, our small businesses, our run. Did I already say coaches? I did say coaches, but our runners, essentially everyone that has some kind of connection to running. That's who I get to be lucky enough to talk to. And today, in this episode, I'm speaking to Stevie Lyn Smith. And I just, you've heard her voice before, and I've praised her before. And I will just do it again real quick and just say that Stevie is just the bomb. I'm just going to say that is the bomb and has been single handedly, honestly, probably the most important person in terms of helping me shift my relationship with food. So if that kind of gives you an introduction to who she is, a little sneak peek, but I'm going to turn it to you, Stevie, now. And can you introduce yourself to us and give us an update? Well, first of all, tell us about your running story and then give us an update with where you're at with running right now.
Yeah, hi. Appreciate you having me back. Very excited to be here and thank you for the kind words. If you are not familiar with me or need a little update, I'm Stevie Lyn Smith. I'm a registered dietitian, board certified in sports nutrition. I've been practicing as a dietitian for over 12 years and have been an endurance athlete for over 16 years at this point. I have my own virtual private practice, Stevie Lyn Nutrition, and I work with runners, triathletes, endurance athletes, active humans to work on improving their relationship with food and exercise so we can support both health and performance, and really just kind of be able to show up as our best selves for our families, for our communities, for our dogs, in races, out of races, and just really help you feel more confident in your nutrition choices and using it as a tool to really enjoy running and wherever you're at in your running journey. I am also a dog mom, I should always say. And if you can hear him chewing his bone in the background, so sorry. He's
No
quite
worries.
upset at me. At the time of recording, we're like 9 weeks after he had his doggy ACL repaired. And he's a big dog. He's a 90-pound German Shepherd Pit Bull mix. So it was the whole TPLO, we're breaking the bone, we're screwing it back together repair. So we've kind of been going through it. Um, but yeah, where am I at in my running journey right now? Right now, in this exact moment, I'm getting ready to take a solid 8 to 10 days off fitness altogether at the end of my season here at the end of 2025. And I am very excited for that little bit of reset as I look towards 2026. But I do have a lot to thank for my 2025 running journey. I took a big step back from endurance sports. I would say 2 years prior, like starting in 2023, I was still active, still running, but took a big step back from racing because I just wasn't feeling great in my body. Needed a mental and physical break from really, really grinding. My big kind of race distance that I enjoy was the full Ironman, which I know is a triathlon. So that's a lot of training for many, many years that I did it. I've done 10 full Ironmans over a 7-year span. Um, so so needless to say, I was a little, I was ready for a little bit of a step back. But I stepped back into running in 2025, into my first like open marathon unattached to an Ironman in a decade. And I had a huge PR, negative split, like the best day ever, which we know that a marathon owes none of us anything. And like, I'm
Yep.
like, I don't know if I ever want to do another one because like it was the most perfect day. I was like, should I just go out on top? Because it just doesn't happen. Perfect weather, like no issues, like heart rate was perfect, no aerobic decoupling with, last 5K at a 7:30 pace, like PR, had so much fun. Like, I'm like, that doesn't happen. Should
Mm-mm.
have just
And it really is like magic. I mean, I still, and it's funny because I wrote about this recently where it's that race for me with the marathon was 2016.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I'm still trying to recapture that magic. Like I've had great races since,
Yep.
but the races where you feel like everything comes together, that is what's that saying, magic in a bottle, or I don't know what the
Yeah.
saying is, but it just does not happen often. And
Does
that's kind
not
of
happen.
that feel like it's either you go out on top or you're going to spend the rest of your life chasing that feeling until magic happens again.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was really a great day. It was nice to kind of like lock back in, lean into my community and like put in the miles I'm located in Buffalo, New York, and training in the winter. Last winter was rough and I was like, guys, I'm so sorry. It was my fault. I signed up for the Buffalo Marathon, which is end of May, and I bought a snowblower. So I basically jinxed winter last year. I don't know whose fault it is this year. Um, but yeah, that was great. And then, I really just like tried some different things. I raced my first couple 5Ks. I don't like to like red zoning is not my thing. Like I've never done a sprint triathlon. Like please give me hours and hours of
Yep.
aerobic work over that. But I was like, let me just try this. And I had a goal of going under 22 minutes and I did. And like, so like I had lots of other great successes this year that I'm very grateful for because I know, again, that's just not how it goes often. Which is why I'm also excited to kind of I took 10 days off of running after my marathon, but now I am ready to do like my little bit of off season during the holidays and let my body and mind kind of reset from doing a lot of work this year.
Have you always been able to do that or in the past? Because I know we talk about it a lot in terms of taking downtime and
Mm.
how challenging it can be to take downtime. Has that something that's come easy to you, or have you had to learn how to appreciate that downtime and that rest and recovery period?
I think there is a degree of learning it. But for me, like in the grand scheme of things, I find it easier for myself than others when I'm on the outside looking in. Um, I'm thinking back to like when I was really like doing a lot. And if you I know we've probably talked about this before, but if you don't know me, I did my first marathon when I was 19, my first Ironman when I was 22. So I like to remind people, like in the context of like my big years of racing and training, I was in my 20s and we all know our 20s, right? Like you can get away with a lot more. That being
Mm-hmm.
said, I still did take downtime. Like at the end of those seasons, I would take like a month where I would do 1 to 2 weeks off, completely off, just kind of depending on what my racing was. Cause like I've done JFK 50 miler, like there were years where I did 3 marathons, like wouldn't recommend it, but like 20s, a
Yeah.
different time, like all was said and done. Like I was healthy, I never got injured, like, my body was able to keep showing up. But I would do like a pretty solid like 1 to 2 weeks off of nothing, and then 2 weeks of maybe like 5 30-minute sessions between swim, bike, run. And it was a little hard at times, but I just was able to lean into like I feel so much better. And
Yeah.
like when it's just like anything when you can make yourself do the hard thing, even if the hard thing is resting. And then you're like, oh, mentally, I'm feeling more motivated now and not like I'm just like dragging myself. For me, that's a big thing because, like, right
Yeah.
now, like, physically, I feel pretty good, but like, I just kind of like that motivation is a little low. And that's one of those signs where it's like, okay, maybe it's time to like take a break, take a step back. But I've also like as I've aged in the sport, have learned like one solid rest day a week, which if you know anybody who does triathlon, like rest days are not a thing triathletes do because they're like, oh, it's just an easy swim.
Yeah.
Um, and for me, I've learned doing a 3 week build and a 4 week deload, no matter what, is what works for me because I know like okay I can get through those 3 weeks up, and then I'm getting a big cutback on that fourth week. It
Yeah.
makes it manageable and builds in a little bit more of that time to allow for like super compensation to happen there too.
Yeah, I mean, I like listening to you, I'm thinking of that's why I've done so many races because I did a lot in my 20s, like
Yeah.
a lot in my 20s and in my early 30s. And now, honestly, at this age, it's really hard to just want to wake up early to participate in races there. And then this is like in Miami, we're kind of in that season of there's more races because it's not as hot.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm just like, do I want to wake up early? Nope, I don't. And it's okay. And that's fine. And in this
Yep.
season of life, I'm prioritizing rest, but it's been hard because I still remember my it was my 2017, which is the worst marathon experience I had. I remember waking up the next day and going out for a run just because I was like,
Yeah.
I need to prove to myself that not every run is sucky,
Yeah.
essentially. Now looking back, I'm like, oh, I should have just rested and just kind of sat with the discomfort of
Yeah.
not having a great race
Hmm.
instead of trying to move forward with the next run because the
Yeah.
next run didn't really solve the mental stuff that I was going through from that race. So
Yeah.
it's so interesting how we change and evolve. But
Yeah.
I want to
You
get
have to.
back. Yeah, of course we do. I want to
Yeah.
get back to the theme of this episode, which is your favorite running memory. And I know it's always such a big one because I'm asking you to kind of like bring it down to one running memory. So I'm curious what that memory is for you and if you were even able to get it down to one.
Okay, well, I already talked about the Buffalo Marathon this year. So
Yeah.
that's like one of my top tier. Um, just amazing. But my favorite running memory, I'm laughing because the visual is so great. It was the run portion of Ironman Maryland. So it was a run. I did this in 2016 and I had raced, I can't remember what one I raced earlier in the year. So that's in September. And September on the eastern shore of Maryland, if you're familiar, hurricane season, right? Well, there was a tail end of a hurricane that like hit right around the time of the race, but it wasn't bad enough that like we couldn't race. Like swim was canceled, whatever, bike was adjusted. So you show up and you're like, well, I literally trained my butt off for 6 months to PR here, and like there's not even a swim. So like out of the gate, this isn't even going to be a PR. So it's just
Mhm.
like that mental game, and you're starting like an hour late, and it's like a time trial bike start. Anyways, to the run portion. So it's in Cambridge, and the run course is flooded. So there were points where we were running through knee-deep water on the run course. And my friend Tatsu was also racing it. And like we passed each other on the run and we were just laughing. We're like, what a shit show. Like you just, it's like you're doing an Ironman, you train so hard, you spend all this money, and like this is what the day serves you. But I'll never forget my mom. She's the best. She was spectating, and there she was, standing in the knee deep water with like all of my friends who had been drinking all day. One of them's in a Speedo, sitting in lawn chairs, like just like cheering in the pouring rain in this flooded marathon where we're running. You're just like, you literally just can't help but laugh. But it's just like, it shows you, to me, it's like, this is how you adapt and overcome. Where like, I know so many people would be throwing an adult temper tantrum that like that was their day. Like, you still show up, you execute the best you can, you laugh because this is life. But like, when people like, it's like with any race when you complain about the weather, but like that's part of endurance racing. Like you just don't know what the conditions are going to be. Like it could be a hot marathon, and like I don't wish that on anybody, but like this is just a name of the game. And you, like I said, you just have to adapt and overcome, go from A, B, C goal, like just readjust your mindset. So I think it was huge in that regard. And also it was just funny. Like you're just like, whatever, like this is what it is. And you see who, like my friends still showed up. My mom was still there. Like it was just also just nice and like still feeling very supported. even though it was so miserable.
So was it raining at all during your race, or it was just
It
the
was on
storm
and
had
off.
gone through and that was kind of the
The rain was on and off throughout the day. Like it wasn't like consistently just pouring rain, but it was on and off. Like we got to transition in the morning. It was just a mud fest, like everywhere. You have all of your gear and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be exercising for like 11 hours right now. And this is what it is.
that is so funny. And also just, there's the part of me as a Floridian where I'm like, oh, the hurricanes, and
Yeah.
it's so interesting because it's like here it's probably the same as you when like with snowstorms where you're
Yeah.
like nothing's going to get canceled even though the snowstorm is happening, and it's kind of
Yep.
similar here with like hurricanes where it's the hurricane has to be right on top of you for things to get canceled,
Yep.
otherwise it's still happening. So it just makes me laugh because you found joy in that.
Hmm.
And I can only imagine how many people complained or
Yep.
sent letters to the race organizers or
Mhm.
requested refunds. Did they offer anything like that, a refund or entry
No.
into the next year? No, because it's in their contracts, right? That they're
Yeah.
like, rain or shine, it's going to happen. I mean, so technically you still got to swim, right? You were like
Yes.
aqua jogging at some point.
Yes. Oh my God. I know. I know. It was aqua jogging. I know people were like laying in the water and I was like, I, I don't know about that, like thinking about the water quality, but yeah, no, I mean it and like I said, and I remember my coach saying, yeah, like she posted and she's like, she trained really hard all year for a PR here, but like made the most of it. And like, that's what you hope your athletes will do, right? Like, yeah, it sucked, but like I didn't get stung by a jellyfish, which is usually what happens at Ironman Maryland. So oh yeah, it's usually big jelly season. There are some horror stories of the jellyfish on that swim
So
there.
did you ever go back and redo that course?
So I did it as the 70.3, the half Ironman. So the full is just two loops of the 70.3. And it's my PR 70.3, and that's usually in June when it's hot. So yeah, so I had a great time there for the 70.3, but I never went back for the full. I was like, you know what? We tried it. There were other options. There were a couple other courses I wanted to try before I stopped doing the full Ironman. Um, but yeah, that one will always stick out to me in my head for sure. That run.
It I'm just like curious because at any point in time, did you think, you know what, I'm just not going to do this race?
Oh no, never. I was locked in. I mean, so I also too got a flat at mile 100 on the bike, which I had to spend, and it was like on my race wheel, so my rear wheel. So it took me like 20 minutes to fix this flat, as I couldn't get the tire off the rim. So it's just like also like, well, shoot, like here we are. Like I was on course for a bike PR, like had a great bike until then. Then you get off the bike and you're like, well, here we are. And I was like, well, let's see what I can do. Like I still had like a pretty strong run. I think I ran like a 4:10, 4:12 in the water. So I was like, just another training day, right? We're out here. We're gonna finish it. I was healthy. So the only
I
time I
just
would consider DNFing if I was like injured or sick or something.
I can't even I can't even imagine that because just I'm just imagining people in knee deep water. I'm imagining the spectators out there and just like how do you lean into it? And I think that's a question that I'm curious since this experience, how would you say this memory has shaped you as an athlete, and how has it informed how you
Mhm.
speak to athletes?
Yeah, like I think it's important to work hard and have goals and like push to reach those goals, whatever they are. But I also like life's funny. Like we don't need to take things too seriously, right? Like there's a time to be serious and locked in, but like that's like the adult temper tantrum. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm I'm an age grouper. Like I'm not elite. I'm not a pro. Like this is not my career. This is my hobby. I do this for fun. So like to me, like I said, it's just like, well, like life's funny. Like, let's laugh about it. Like, you know, like if you rip your pants, you're like, well, this is what it is. Kind of like the same
Yeah.
approach. Like, again, yes, like I put my head down, I'll lock in, I'll work hard. But at the end of the day, like that's so out of your control. It's just like anything, control the controllables. That's not it. So, like, adapt and overcome. How do we shift our mindset? We just kind of accept our fate and just make the most out of it. So, you know, and again, like and I loved racing that distance. It's such a long race because it forces you to really like kind of stay mentally in it for a long time and like helps you learn how to show up for yourself when you really just want to quit. So like, and I had done a number of Ironmans at that point. So it wasn't my first. Like maybe if it was my first, it might have been a little bit different. Um, but yeah, just like life's funny. Don't take yourself too seriously. But again, like you can have goals, but I just think it's like one of those things where you just gotta lean in sometimes and be like, this is just not it. And I did everything I could, and this is the day I was served.
That is I just want to say that's such a mature way of seeing things. And the follow-up question I have is, did you feel like you needed a quote unquote redemption race after that?
No. I was like, you know what? I'm good. I mean, I was still like already planning an Ironman the next year. Like I already knew I was going to do another one. And the next year, I think I did do two in 2016, I think. And I did two in 2017, but I never felt like, oh, I need a redemption. I mean, I wanted to, like, I was trying to go, what was that? Was I trying to go yeah, I was trying to go sub 12 hours. I had just done a 12:09 the year before on a really challenging course, very hilly. So I was like, oh, Maryland's flat. I got this on lock. And then the weather did what it did. But I knew at that point, like I had done a lot that season, like went into my off-season recovery mode, just like, but actually after that year, I took 6 weeks off of running because I felt like I had done so much that year that I just needed like a there was no injury, but my body just didn't feel good. I was like, I need like a hard reset. So I did 6 weeks off of running. And then like my second run back, I was living in DC at the time, and I went to step off a curb in a run, and a car made a right on red and they didn't see me. So they didn't hit me, but like I moved and I got an avulsion fracture and a grade 2 ligament tear in my ankle from the motion that I had to take to like get out of the car's way. So I was like, well, so so anyways, yeah, so then I didn't run again until March. Um and I did Lake Placid that July and still did like a 12:20, had a great race. And then I did Ironman Louisville in October and I got that PR, 11:35. Had almost a sub 4 hour run, so close. That was the one goal I didn't quite reach, but I'm okay with that in the Ironman world. So that was like a redemption after the broken ankle. But you know, it was just like a testament to patience. Like I took that extra time off because I felt like I needed it. Then I got this unfortunate accident injury, and I was working for the government at the time. So I had so much sick leave that I literally just took a week of sick leave and laid on my couch because I was like, we got to heal this.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that is I find that happens so often to athletes where it's like you're not injuring yourself from your sport. It's like life outside of the sport, just freak accidents that happen. But
yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that you didn't have a redemption race or any of that because I find that that's like, and maybe it's because you're doing three sports and that's just more challenging, but that is something that comes up so often,
Hmm.
especially I feel like especially with the marathon. I'm like, if
Oh
you
yeah.
want a redemption 5K, go for it. Like you can come back from that quickly. But a
Yep.
redemption marathon is that's one of the things. And listen, I had a redemption marathon. I went 2026 Chicago and then
Yep.
2020, well, no, 2017 Chicago was my bad race. And I was like, I need to redeem myself. But I waited until 2018 Chicago. Whereas I see a lot of like I had a bad race now. I'm going to go in 2 weeks and I'm going to run another one. And it's like, wait,
Yep.
no, let's like, let's give your body that time. So that's why I asked that, because I think it's what I love about this story is that you're finding the humor
Yep.
in it when you could have very easily gone an opposite path of
Yep.
being disappointed, being upset, maybe even I feel like blaming yourself for
Yep.
the weather, where it's like you can't control the weather,
Yep.
and yet you're still here and
Yep.
you're still
Gotta let it
moving your
ride.
body.
That's what I always say. You gotta let it ride, right? Like it is what it is. Let it roll. Do what you can. But yeah, I agree with you on the redemption races. I see people do them all the time. And I feel like that is also when you make that decision, again, it's like kind of like in anything, like respond, not react is how
Yeah.
you want to handle things. That is like to me a reaction, and that usually doesn't come from the right place, the right motivation. It's not putting our best foot forward, like in this context or any context. So I
Hmm.
feel like it's just one of those things that like you gotta let it marinate. You gotta sit with it a little bit
Yeah.
and like sit, like you said, sit in that discomfort and then like feel it, wallow a little bit. It's okay to
Yeah.
feel sad after a race and wallow. Like I tell my friend, like I will always wallow with you until the wallowing becomes problematic. And then we're gonna
Yep.
do some stuff, right? But I think like sitting with that, kind of grieving what your expectations were, and then like just coming up with a more thoughtful and like healthier approach to what the next race is going to be, because then I feel like that athlete is going to go in that training block in a better headspace to take what we learned from X, Y, or Z race, recover, and then just keep building from there. And it tends to be a better experience. But, sometimes you got to learn it the hard way, right?
Oh yeah. Listen, I've learned the hard way many, many
Same.
times, and I'm still learning, and I think it's my biggest lesson with running is trying to constantly remind myself that at the end of the day, I have a body that can move, and that's the biggest flex, right? Like there's these races are going to happen. Most races are going to continue happening next year, the year after, the year after, and also just that remembering that no training is wasted, right?
Oh,
it's not like, oh, you did all the work, then you show up on race day and it's not what you wanted. Oh, okay, well then what was the point of all that work? It's like you're still learning something, right? You're still developing yourself into who you're becoming. So it's not getting the perfect outcome. That's not the end of the story.
yeah.
I wish more people knew that.
Just stacking those bricks year after year, you know?
Yeah, and that's how you become an athlete for the long term, right?
Yeah.
It's knowing that it's every year, every race cycle, every event. Like it's just something else that you're, like you said, you're stacking. You're stacking the experiences and chasing chasing potential, chasing that magic, chasing possibility.
Yep. Exactly.
All
I love it.
right. So, if you could go back in time, what words of wisdom would you have for that past runner self?
Lift more weights.
Even
That
in
is
your
like,
20s?
yes, 100%. I mean, that is like when I said I took a couple years step back and I knew I needed it, like obviously I rested, but like the biggest thing was I need to move through this discomfort of lifting weights 3 to 4 times a week. And like it was hard for me to build that in because, and of course, like again, as like more of a triathlete than a runner, because that's how I say healthy as a runner. Um, when you're already juggling swim, bike, run, it's so easy to drop that. And I like think about what potential could I have had I been, not that I wasn't strong, but I like also look back and I was like, oh, I mean, I'm not big now, but like, I'm like, you were so small. Like, there were like no muscles. Like, you were like a triathlete. Like, you were small. And now I'm like, oh, like, like swimmer, you can tell I like lift some weights and things. And I'm like, what could have been my potential if I was stronger? Like, probably would have biked better, probably would have ran stronger off the bike, right? Those types of things. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm very proud of the work I did and all of the outcomes from my fastest Ironman to my slowest Ironman. But you think like, what if, if I just had taken the time and like made that a priority? But like, I also don't beat myself up about it. It's like, like Alana says, you live, you learn, right? Um, and now I've prioritized it, which of course is important because I'm in my late 30s. And now it's part of my routine and it doesn't feel hard. I mean, some days I'm like, ugh, but like it doesn't, I move through that resistance and that challenge of adding a new habit. I habit stacked it with my swimming because I'm like, I already go to the pool and there's a weight room right there. Get up a little bit earlier and lift some weights before you hop in the pool. Those things now go together for me. And it's just like, it's part of the routine now. So that is one thing I really wish I did. And I wish I did less. Do a little less. You don't need to do the most. And I'm not saying like training wise, but like racing wise, I was like, you could have done a little bit less and probably gotten a little bit more quality.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, I wouldn't beat myself up about it, but lift weights and do a little bit less would have been it for me.
Yeah. I remember my first, I think it was like 2013, which was like my first full year of running.
Mm,
I participated in 26 races. So that is like a race every other weekend. And I was able to do it because I was in my 20s. But I remember looking at that list because I have spreadsheets for everything. I love spreadsheets. So I have
love it.
spreadsheets of every race I've ever participated in, organized by year. And I remember looking at that year at the end of the year and thinking, where did all the money come from for me to do those? Like more than anything, I was like, where did the money
So
come
true.
from? And then also like, did I not have kids? I mean, I had kids and I took them
Yeah.
to a lot of the races. I did a lot of 5Ks, but it
Yeah.
was one of those things where I was like, where did I have the time to do all of this? Because I'm always complaining about not having enough time. And that year it was 26 races. So there was time somewhere. Um, all right, we're going to flip that question. And I'm going to ask, what hopes do you have for your future runner slash athletic self?
Yeah, that I can just keep doing it in a way that feels good and try different things and not box myself in feeling like and I feel like I haven't done this in a long time where I see so many people like, well, I have to run a marathon every year. No, you really don't have to. Like, you're gonna be okay. Like, the marathon is gonna be there. If you feel good and you're in the right headspace and you're healthy and whatnot, and that's what you want to do, like, great, grand, fine. But I just want to push myself, but also know when I need to pull back and just kind of not put the pressure of like X, Y, or Z race goal on myself. And, this year I will say the cat's out of the bag. I'm going to do another 70.3. I have not done one since 2018 and I have big goals for it. And I'm someone is encouraging me, I won't say pressuring me to do two 70.3s next year, which like for those who aren't as familiar, who might be more marathon focused, like said, doing two 70.3s in a year is not like running two marathons in a year. It's just different with the mixing up of sports, the training. Like I think the recovery after a 70.3 is so much easier than a marathon. So like in that context, it's definitely not out of bounds. But to me, I'm like, let me just like get a better relationship with
Yeah,
biking again and like get through one and then see how I feel because I don't want to push myself kind of back into that pipeline where I'm
yeah,
not happy doing these things. So just kind of giving myself that grace and allowing myself to push myself and like lock in when I feel like I really want to try for something,
yeah,
but also pulling back and knowing it's okay. Like if I do that 70.3 in May and I'm like, okay, I'm glad I got back out there, but like I am good for the rest of the year, then I'm good. Just
yeah.
that flexibility, I guess.
Also, it makes it less pressure, right?
Yeah.
Where you can kind of feel it because it's not, I think with anything and with training, it's always going to be doesn't make sense for where you're at in life. And
Yeah.
listen, it may make perfect sense at the beginning of the year, but that second half of the year, it may not make sense. So
Yep.
it's kind of leaving those options open for yourself.
Yeah.
So
And yeah, I think it's also too like you kind of learn like at the end of this summer, I usually do a November 10K here. But like after racing in August, I was like, you know what? I girl bossed a little too close to the sun. Like I was towing that line of doing too many races. So like I was like, I'm done for the year. Like I just don't have the mental capacity to like push a 10K or even push a 5K, and that's okay. So just also, I think that's a great skill for runners to kind of like, yeah, like maybe you have this on your schedule, but be like having that honest conversation with yourself and being like, I'm good?
So this is a related question,
Yeah.
right? So we're talking about understanding when to pull back, having those honest conversations with yourself about training. And again, it's related in terms of here you're building this awareness for what you can do. Now, the question I have is, so how do you celebrate yourself for all that you have done?
That's a great question. Am I the best at celebrating myself? Probably not. Um, I mean, I feel like that's something I do around this time of year while I'm reflecting. So building in that time to make sure I reflect, because one day, I don't know when it was, I said to my girlfriend, I was like, dang, I'm really tired. And she's like, well, I wonder why. And I was like, why? She's like, I don't know. You PR'd a marathon, you swam 6 miles, you wrote a book. And I was like, oh, okay. So I think it's important to build,
You're like,
build
no
in
big
that time.
deal.
No big deal. Just another, just trying to keep busy. Try and build in that time. But I very much like I like celebrating with my friends. So I think I did a good job, like right in the moment. Like after the marathon, we had a great like post race, like get together and hangs. And like at the finish line of the 5K, like hanging with my friends and like celebrating there. So like little mini celebrations like in the moment afterwards and, just getting excited for what my friends were able to accomplish and kind of like leaning into that community. But I do a bit of reflection usually like at this time, as a lot of people do, and kind of saying like, oh, okay, like what have I accomplished? How do I feel about it? Like, where do I want to go from here?
Yeah, I think that that particular question is going to be my favorite one of the season because I feel like every time I ask it, you all are like, wait, how do I do that? And then do I do it enough? And I think it's something I'm curious about with myself. Again, like understanding how am I grateful for what I'm able to do, and can I actually show that gratitude through celebration instead of just being like, all right, great job, you got it done. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
but getting it done, like it's
Mhm.
amazing. It's amazing that
Yeah.
we're even doing the things that we're doing when you've got the majority of people aren't doing anything at
Yep.
all.
Yep.
So it's that celebration piece of how to remember that it is special.
Yeah.
Doing what
Yep.
we're is special because I I'm not going to I'm not going to do a 70.3. Absolutely no interest in that. I'm good. Like
Yep.
you can take that all the way, but it's also absolutely amazing that your mind, your body can accomplish that
Yeah.
and that you've been doing it for over a decade,
So long. Well
right? Like
over a decade. Yeah. I did my first 70.3 in
I mean,
2011.
technically, right, what we're saying is you're actually like you're working on 2 decades of this.
That's wild to me. I'm still 28, so I don't know how that works.
I don't know how those 2 decades have happened, but
I don't know how it's
they're going
happened, but
on. They're going on. All right. I have two questions
okay.
left. The first one is if you can let us know where to find you and how to best connect with you.
Yeah, you can find me on my corner of the internet at stevielynrd.com. I have a brand new website. I'm obsessed with it. And you can also find me on Instagram at Stevie Lyn Lyn, and that's LYN. Those are probably the best places to find me and stay up to date.
Yeah. And I'm adding a question here. Can you just remind us or tell us, since you mentioned it, about your book?
Yes. So, my book, Power Up, A Young Woman's Guide to Winning with Sports Nutrition, came out in November 2025, and obviously very excited. I co-wrote it with Molly Herford from Strong Girl Publishing, and it is geared towards the high school to college age female athlete, though I firmly believe that any athlete can learn from it. Obviously, there's going to be some specific stuff to that age range. But we really wanted to put together a resource for that age range that is something that they can pick up and take action from. We have lots of science and, evidence-based nutrition recommendations in there, but it is written in a way that is digestible, actionable. It is not like a textbook. So it's something where, we're laying the foundation of like, we understand that like a lot of us don't have that basic education of
Hmm.
like, what's a carb, what's protein, what's fat, how does this matter to what does this look like? Okay, if I'm a team sport athlete, or if I'm living in my first apartment, or like, what do I do about supplements? But what about this TikTok trend? So it's written so they don't feel like they're reading a textbook, or even
Yeah.
the adults aren't reading a textbook because like that's boring. So if you are also a parent, a coach of kind of that age range, it can be helpful for you and kind of how to navigate different conversations, how these young women can learn how to advocate for themselves in medical appointments if something's up. So it really kind of gives a whole different array of tools from the basics to okay how to implement our recommendations and go on from there.
That's so
Yay.
cool. I know
Thanks.
someone who's written a book. That's just so cool to me. Uh,
Still feels fake.
it'll probably feel a little more real once you get that second book out there. I'm
Oh
not saying
boy.
I'm not saying you have to do it, but I'm
No
saying
pressure.
the world should get more of you. And if
Appreciate
a book is a way to do it, then I'm all here for it.
you.
Okay. Final question is, what are your final words for us?
Oh boy. Obviously eat more carbs is usually always it. Eat more carbs, but no, have fun. Don't you can work hard, but like don't take yourself too seriously. Um, you know, running and sport is here to add to our lives, not kind of suck our souls away. And stop comparing yourself to other people. That's the biggest thing. I feel like we could do a whole episode on that topic alone, so I won't get into that rabbit hole, but just focus on you and showing up for yourself in a way that feels good.
And eat those carbs.
Always carbs.
All right, Stevie, thank you so much for joining me. Everyone, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.